What is going on, Knicks Nation? It is Anthony. We are live. We are live. Wait for you, few to come in, but we're going to talk about what's possibly next for the New York Knicks after they make a massive trade in acquiring OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby is on the team, and whether or not they're going to re-sign him, they should, they better, and it's looking like that's going to get done. But yeah, I mean, a lot of rumors have been coming out after the fact that the New York Knicks traded for an OG Anunoby. You've had executives state that Julius Randle may be next to be out. You've had, some rumors saying that Bill Simmons, I think, said that I would like the New York Knicks to go after Jordan Clarkson, that we'll talk about, and I actually have I actually made it work in the trade machine. So, yeah. And then obviously we all know the Donovan Mitchell situation is still boiling, and I do not think that the New York Knicks can get a Donovan Mitchell deal done, but we'll talk about it, and that's where we'll start. We'll start with a Donovan Mitchell. Can the New York Knicks get a Donovan Mitchell deal done with their current assets on their team? So right now I pulled up the trade machine, and I tried to get it done. But I don't think this is going to get it done. So don't hold me to this. So here is the Donovan Mitchell trade that I tried to get done. All right. I have the New York Knicks acquiring Donovan Mitchell. I have Cleveland, getting Evan Fournier. And in order to make it work, you have to, give them a Mitchell Robinson. Not saying this will be done. I'm just saying that, I tried to make a Donovan Mitchell trade work. So you give them Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, and then a bunch of first-round picks, whatever first-round picks they would, want. And that ultimately will be a success. It will acquire a Donovan Mitchell and it would bring Donovan Mitchell to New York. I don't know who would you replace other than Mitchell Robinson, because you have to make the salaries work. Would you? I don't know. Julius Randle is named, according to this executive, is the next big move that we'll talk about in a few. But I don't think this is where the New York Knicks go this year. Possibly this summer. That's where I think they try to go. They try to acquire Donovan Mitchell, put some heat on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like I said, this is just a mock-up trade that I did. It is a success. You give Fournier, Grimes, a bunch of first-round picks to Mitchell Robinson to acquire Donovan Mitchell. Then you essentially have Donovan Mitchell paired with Brunson, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and then, Isaiah Hartenstein, and you find a backup center. I do not want to trade Mitchell Robinson. I'm just stating that this is something that I cooked up here, and I don't know. What do you guys think about this trade in order to get a Donovan Mitchell in here? Big Taz says Happy New Year. Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your New Year's Eve. Hope you have a healthy New Year. And Big Taz, what's going on? Big Taz says no Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, I try to get this done. I try to make it work, but I think you're gonna like this Jordan Clarkson trade that I came up with in a bit. But yeah, so Donovan Mitchell's name has always been rumored to the New York Knicks, right? Since last summer, and now that they acquired OG Anunoby, if Leon Rose was to pull that trigger, that would be a chess move for Leon Rose to acquire Donovan Mitchell and bring him in NYC paired with a Jalen Brunson, and then an OG Anunoby and a Julius Randle. So that could still work, guys. I mean, acquiring OG Anunoby doesn't take us out of that next deal. There's something next. OG Anunoby was the big trade before the big trade, in my opinion. This is just the beginning. I'm excited. I'm excited to see this. I'm excited to see the OG Anunoby era begin. David Parker said, how do the exceptions work? You cannot trade, I believe. No, that was for Jordan Clarkson. If you give them Fournier, Robinson, Grimes, and a bunch of first-round picks, it works. The cap space, it works, man. So that's that. I'm not sure about the exceptions, but, Donovan Mitchell, it's clear that he wants out of Cleveland, and the New York Knicks are clearly one of the teams that will, not hopefully, but one of the teams that will be interested in him, because job not finished, right? Job not finished. All right, let's get to the next talking point. Let's get to the next topic, and I think you guys are going to like this one. This is Jordan Clarkson. Bill Simmons brought up Jordan Clarkson coming to the New York Knicks, and I like it. Emmanuel quickly goes to Toronto. You lose that scoring power off of the bench. So where are the Utah Jazz going? They're not going anywhere, right? They're rebuilding. What do they want? What does Danny Ainge want? He wants a bunch of picks. Danny Ainge wants a bunch of picks. So I came up with a trade for Jordan Clarkson. And let's see if you guys like this one. Let me put this in the frame really quick. All right. You can't see me, but that's all right. You don't need to see me. All right. So here we acquire Jordan Clarkson. We give them Fournier, Grimes, and a first-round pick. Now, I don't know if Danny Ainge is going to want more than a first-round pick. I don't know if he's just going to want more than an expiring Evan Fournier deal and an expiring Quentin Grimes deal. Who knows? But, Jordan Clarkson on the Knicks coming in off the bench, replacing Emmanuel Quickly, replacing a Quentin Grimes. You're giving up on a Quentin Grimes. You've essentially, if you do this trade, you've given up on Quickly, Barrett, Toppin, Grimes, your whole young core except Mitchell Robinson, of course. But I love it. Bringing in the Jordan Clarkson, he averages about 17 points a game. It gives you that scoring power that we will hope that we'll be missing now with Emmanuel Quickly shipped off to Toronto. So you give them, like I said, I do not know if they'll want, another first round pick here. But I like it. What do you guys think about this trade? Evan Fournier, Grimes, and a first round pick for Jordan Clarkson. Big Taz says, I like Jordan Clarkson. Yeah, man. I mean, look, the Knicks are not done. OG Anunoby was the first trade until the next trade, in my opinion, or they can just wait until the summer to bolster up their lineup. But we'll see here. Maybe a Quentin Grimes balls out. Maybe a Quentin Grimes actually, finally gets the minutes he deserves and finally, gets off the stigma of not having to come out of the game because he missed a shot, like you said earlier in the season. But this is just an option. This could be an option because the Utah Jazz, they're clearly rebuilding, right? They're rebuilding. They want a bunch of picks. They want to rebuild. Clarkson, I believe, still has 2 years left on his deal. I think he just re-signed with them. So if that's another thing. If you want to take on Clarkson's deal is another story for another day. I think he's owed about $21 to $20 million a year, I believe. Big Tash says I would do that deal for Clarkson if we miss out on DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray's name that's still linked to the New York Knicks that we'll touch on in a bit. Knickerbocker, what's going on? Knickerbocker says Jordan would have to start. Would he? He would, but he would like to start, but wouldn't Jordan Clarkson be more suited to come off the bench to give us that extra boost off the bench since we lost Emmanuel Quickly? Or you could start Clarkson with the Brunson, but I kind of like the idea of a Jordan Clarkson coming in off the bench. I kind of like that idea. But yeah, that was that's the Jordan Clarkson trade. We can go that route. We can call Utah, try to get that done, get Jordan Clarkson here, ship out the Fournier contract that's expiring, Grimes, a first-round pick. Danny Ainge will probably want another first-round pick, right? He'll probably be like knocking at our door saying, give us another first-round pick for Jordan Clarkson. And so, yeah, I think that's a realistic route. I really do. Come trading deadline, I think the New York Knicks will be, looking for another, scorer off the bench. That's if, we still have a Grimes struggling. But if Quentin Grimes picks it up here coming in off the bench, then, hey, we can back off and say we like our team as of now. We'll just reconvene in the summertime and we just go from there. But it just all depends on, if the chemistry on the bench. It all depends on the more playing time for Quentin Grimes. And it depends on if he, can get it together and look like the old Quentin Grimes, man. I miss the old Quentin Grimes. PR, man. Chris in the chat. Jordan Clarkson would be that boost we lost with IQ. Yeah, he would be that boost, Jordan Clarkson. But the deal, let me look up his contract really quick. Let me look up Jordan Clarkson's contract because I think he re-signed with the Jazz. He signed a 4-year, $50 million deal with the Utah Jazz. To me, that's a bargain, right? He signed it this summer. He signed 3-year extension on top of his deal. So he signed a 3-year, $50 million deal with the Jazz. And he's a scorer, He's a scorer. He's like I wouldn't say he's a clone of a Quickly, but he brings the same element as an Emmanuel Quickly brought. He could shoot the three. He can create. I like a Jordan Clarkson. Bounced around the league a couple of times. He's a veteran, so, he's played in a few big playoff games. So that would be, a plus, an added addition if we were to get a Jordan Clarkson on this team. But I think Jordan Clarkson is a sneaky addition. Big Taz brings up a good point. Jordan Clarkson, he said, question, does Jordan Clarkson play any defense? I At times, I would say, but he's a scoring. Scoring is his specialty. Jordan Clarkson. Scoring is his specialty for sure. And that's why I would love a Clarkson coming in off the bench, giving us that extra punch. When we start a DiVincenzo, Brunson, and Anunoby or Randall, and then we have Clarkson off the bench with a Josh Hart, with a Precious Achua. Then I think our team is starting to form, right? Then I feel like I see the Knicks' vision if we were to get like a Clarkson, or Donovan Mitchell. Maybe that's in their plan as well. But yeah, Knickerbocker says maybe should crazy, but I believe Randall, Grimes plus picks for Donovan. Precious would start power forward. We'll get to that too. There's the NBA executive that said he thinks Julius Randle is the next big move out of New York for the New York Knicks. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that story, but that's an interesting one. Obviously, we have Julius Randle switching agents before the season started. We have that aspect. RJ Barrett just got shipped off. It's a business, it's a business. And that's interesting. Randall for Donovan Mitchell. I personally wouldn't do that, but if the Knicks can get that done without Randall, which I highly doubt, but it's interesting, man. It's interesting. It's the NBA. Anything is possible. Depot 007, what's going on in the chat? How about Brogdon? Malcolm Brogdon is another good name. Another good name. Malcolm Brogdon out in Portland. Injury prone kind of, played with the Boston Celtics last year, but another scoring punch off the bench. And Brogdon plays defense, and he's been there, done that. He has his playoff battles. He has his he's been there. He's a veteran, and I like Brogdon. That's a name I really didn't think of, Malcolm Brogdon. So that's a good name to bring up. So we got Brogdon, Jordan Clarkson is a sneaky ad, and then obviously Donovan Mitchell as well. But I'm really starting to fall in favor of acquiring like a Jordan Clarkson at the deadline, because that I feel like would make the New York Knicks a complete team. And we just continue to build from there. He's on a team-friendly contract, and when you're adding a Brogdon, Brogdon, to me, I like Brogdon, but to me, he's on like the back end of his career, right? That's like a final, not like a final piece, but I feel like I would prefer a Clarkson rather than a Brogdon. But hey, either or. That's just my opinion. I mean, either or. Chris says Clarkson is okay defensively, but he's not going to have a defensive impact in comparison to Emmanuel Quickley, in my opinion. Yeah. Those two pretty much cancel each other out offensively. Clarkson is averaging, if not Clarkson, I think he's averaging close to 17 points a game, and he'll fit like a glove off that bench. Hit the three, create his own shot. Chris also says, I feel Brogdon is just hurt too much, but another interesting name if he's available. Agree. Another interesting name if he's available. All right, let's get to our next topic here. DeJounte Murray, guys. So obviously we have the situation with Clutch Sports and the New York Knicks. Leon Rose, Clutch Sports, put out a video about that. If you haven't, guys, if you haven't checked it out, please make sure you do so. But DeJounte Murray's name has also been linked to the New York Knicks. Mike Scotto put out something last week stating that DeJounte Murray may be a name of interest to come to the New York Knicks. Now, a lot of questions were, like, I had a lot of questions about that. Like, why were the Knicks looking at acquiring DeJounte Murray to pair with a Jalen Brunson? But then they went and acquired OG Anunoby. So now it kind of makes sense in my opinion. I know my podcast co-host Chris likes DeJounte Murray, but if you look at his underlying stats, DeJounte Murray really, this season, he really isn't really playing well defensively. He has taken a step back. Now, I know he's on the Atlanta Hawks, and that team is an absolute mess, and he plays alongside Trae Young, who defensively is bad, right? So he probably has to make up for a lot on that team. But DeJounte Murray's name has also been interesting. But I feel like now that we acquired an OG Anunoby, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, then I feel like, we can step aside a DeJounte Murray. We can, I don't feel like if he fits on this current team, I feel like all we need to do right now is acquire another spark off the bench, Clarkson or Brogdon, like 007 brought up in the chat. And then we go from there, because I feel like ultimately the New York Knicks want to acquire, a very high caliber all-star to pair with the Jalen Brunson, a Donovan Mitchell like we spoke about. So is DeJounte Murray that all-star? Is DeJounte Murray that final piece of the puzzle? Like if you were going to pair a Jalen Brunson with a DeJounte Murray, with an OG Anunoby, with the Julius Randle, and when healthy, and Mitchell Robinson, where is that team bringing you, right? Where is that team getting us? Who would we even trade for DeJounte Murray? Now that we have traded Emmanuel Quickly, we've traded RJ Barrett, we've traded the Detroit nice, sexy second-round pick that we have. Who would we even trade for a DeJounte Murray? That's a question that many Knicks fans, including myself, have to try to figure out, because are you going to trade them Grimes, Fournier, a bunch of first-round picks? I don't think Atlanta will be enticed by that. I really don't. I don't think Atlanta will be enticed by that. So, DeJounte Murray's name is interesting, but I just don't think that's where the Knicks go currently if I were them, But you had the whole clutch sports aspect, but hey, the New York Knicks were suing the Raptors and they still got the OG Anunoby deal done. So I'm not saying the clutch sports has anything to deal with it, but Big Tass says DeJounte Murray is next in the chat. So we have some Knicks fans in the chat that want to get this done. 56 people in here. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Always appreciate every single one of you tuning in. Happy New Year to everybody. We are at 6 likes. Let's try to get that up to 10 likes. But yeah, Happy New Year to everyone. Just chopping it up, trying to figure out what is next for the New York Knicks. Donovan Mitchell could be next. Jordan Clarkson is a sneaky ad, in my opinion. That's where I would like the New York Knicks to go. It was brought up by Bill Simmons. I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast, and he was like, I would love if the New York Knicks were to go get Jordan Clarkson. And now we're talking about DeJounte Murray. Big Task wants DeJounte Murray. Knickerbocker says, I like Murray, but he's a troublemaker. I think that's in his past. I think Murray, I don't think he's a troublemaker anymore. I think that's in his past. But PR Defcon in the chat says, Chris in the chat says, I feel like Murray would pick it up defensively under Thibs, especially next to an OG. But unless the Hawks want picks, a trade might be difficult. Yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with that situation, what are you going to give Atlanta, right? It's interesting. Like you gave away Quickly, Barrett. Would you give them? Would they even want a Fournier, a Grimes? Would you dare to trade a Dante DiVincenzo? I wouldn't. I mean, he's eligible after I think he's eligible after January 3rd, and then would you give them a bunch of picks? I just feel like I wouldn't do that. I would rather go down the, Jordan Clarkson ad. And then this summer, that's when I would, really try to strike on a superstar or a star player starting alongside of Jalen Brunson at that shooting guard position. Priority number 1 this summer is get that OG Anunoby extension done. Priority number 2 is, all right, now we have Brunson, Anunoby, Randle, and Robinson, hopefully a healthy Robinson. Let's try to get another sniper in here. Let's try to get another big piece around the Jalen Brunson. So, yeah, that's where I think the Knicks ultimately go. Big Task says the Hawks are going down like Black Hawk. They need first-round picks. They have to work with the Knicks. Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that we have a bunch of first-round picks. Some of our first-round picks are obviously worth more than others. Like we have a Detroit first-round pick that's like top 18 protected or something like that. And if it doesn't convey, it turns into, I think, 2 second-round picks. But this season we have our first-round pick, the Dallas Mavericks first-round pick, and we pretty much had 3 first-round picks, but we traded the Raptors, the Detroit Pistons second-round pick that was like 32. But yeah, Chris says Grimes, Fournier, Sims, and 2 firsts. Does that do that for Atlanta though? Like if you're trading DeJounte Murray and you really want to shake it up, like if you really want to shake it up, does Grimes, Fournier, and Sims and 2 firsts do it for Atlanta? That's where I think the New York Knicks are going to hit a crossroads when trying to acquire DeJounte Murray. Because if you still had, like, let's say a Barrett or Quickly, then I can understand throwing him in for DeJounte Murray. But I don't know. I don't know if that rocks the boat of the Atlanta Hawks. But yeah, Big Taz agrees with Chris in the chat. Yeah, man. I mean, look, DeJounte Murray, you have Clarkson, you have Donovan Mitchell. You have an executive saying that Julius Randle could be the next big move, which is absolutely, that would really shake things up, in my opinion. If the New York Knicks were to trade a Julius Randle, that would absolutely shake things up. Let's get to that story. All right. So an NBA executive, random NBA executive hints at the next Knicks big move after OG Anunoby. They say after the Knicks let go of Barrett and quickly, an NBA executive hinted that the Knicks' next big move would include the polarizing two-time All-Star forward Julius Randle. That would net us a starting, whether you're replacing a Randle with, obviously Cat's name has been linked to the New York Knicks, but do we really want to replace Randle with a Cat who has a worse contract than a Julius Randle? To me, you're not doing that. That's just my opinion. You're not doing that, in my opinion. You're not replacing a Julius Randle with a Karl-Anthony Towns. But this was interesting because obviously we all know that Julius Randle switched agencies this past summer. He switched agencies from I think he went from, I forgot agency. I think he was in CAA, right? And then he switched agencies. And then you have this executive hinting that Julius Randle may be the next domino to fall. Now, I'm not saying this executive is right. The executives get it wrong all the time. This is just an executive thinking, just talking amongst a reporter stating that a Julius Randle trade may be the next big move for the New York Knicks. That would be, what do you guys think of that? That would be crazy. Big Taz says wrong. Randle is not going anywhere. Yeah, I personally think Randle's not going anywhere, especially his resurgence here in these last 15, 20 games. He has played like a dominant player. He has taken less threes. He is really taking it to the paint, and he is simply dominating all of his opponents. 100 people in the chat. Let's go. Hit that thumbs up button, please. Subscribe to the channel. As always, we're here chopping it up about the New York Knicks. What is their next move to come? Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson, DeJounte Murray, and now an NBA executive thinks Randle is the next big move. PR says, I feel after RJ going, you got to keep a Julius Randle. Yeah. After the New York Knicks decided to trade Barrett and a quickly, in my opinion, anybody's up for the taking right now. I just feel like that's the way the NBA is moving right now. But in my personal opinion, I don't think the New York Knicks will go this route. So I don't know why the NBA executive, even hinted at this. But it's interesting. It's something that I wanted to bring up to you guys. And it's something that, us Knicks fans have to ponder about, because can you really get a Donovan Mitchell trade done with a Fournier, a Grimes? You would have to throw in a Mitchell Robinson. But if you're Cleveland, why would you even want that? If you have a Jared Allen, if you have an Evan Mobley, and then now you're, acquiring a Mitchell Robinson, there would have to be like a 3-team deal, in my opinion, to get that Donovan Mitchell deal done. Maybe Mitchell Robinson goes somewhere else, and then that other team gives Cleveland what they want, and then obviously Donovan Mitchell comes to the New York Knicks, and then we just throw a boatload of picks at Cleveland's way. Because if you're Leon Rose and the New York Knicks, you're essentially saying, look, Donovan Mitchell's going to leave. He's going to leave in free agency. So take these picks, give us Donovan Mitchell. We go from there. But yeah, NBA executive, we're talking about Julius Randle. NBA executive says that Julius Randle may be the next domino to fall. Ron in the chat, Randle goes, but in return, it has to be a superstar. Yeah, Ron, always appreciate you in the chat. If we're trading a Julius Randle, man, there's so many avenues where we can go. You can dabble in the Karl-Anthony Towns because, look, let's face it, guys. OG Anunoby's name has been linked to the Knicks for a while now. As long as a Karl-Anthony Towns name has been linked to the Knicks, every single summer trade deadline, whose name gets brought up every time about the New York Knicks is Karl-Anthony Towns. And whose name prior to the OG Anunoby trade got brought up? OG Anunoby. And OG Anunoby got traded to the Knicks. I'm just saying, connect the dot. Try to connect the dots here because where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And I'm not saying that will be done, but I'm just saying if it does happen, just, don't be surprised. But Ron says Randall goes, but in return has to be a superstar. Yeah. Yeah, man. Chris says agree, Ron. Would it have to be for a superstar player, if anything? Larry, what's going on in the chat? Larry says, would you consider Jaren Jackson for Julius Randle? That's interesting. I kind of like that, to be honest with you. I kind of like Jaren Jackson. Obviously, he's a defensive anchor. He can shoot. He can score. You would have to give away a Mitchell Robinson as well. But I like that, You would probably have to get a double trade in. You bring, trade Mitchell Robinson maybe to, I don't know, Utah for Clarkson, and then you bring in a Jaren Jackson. That would just be massive trade after massive trade after massive trade. I'm not saying that would happen, but Jaren Jackson's name is interesting. But I think, now with Ja Morant back in Memphis and they're winning, so I don't think they'll trade him, but it's interesting, It's interesting. PR says, agree, Ron. We would have to be for a superstar play. Yeah, I mean, look, Randall. Would I trade Julius Randle right now? Look, a lot of Knicks fans look at it this way. Randall's playing amazing right now. He should be an all-star. He's playing at an all-star level. He's playing at an all-NBA level, which he has, obviously he's garnished 2 all-NBAs in his career. And he's playing like that at this moment. But, trading Randle is like, you're really shaking it up at that point. Like, you're really giving the keys to Jalen Brunson. You're really saying, here, this is your franchise. And I'm not saying the Knicks should do that. I mean, they have done that. They've, signed Brunson's boys, and now they bring in OG and they trade Barrett and quickly. But I don't know, man. I feel like a Randle trade, I would have to do some research on that. Who would it be? I'm trying to connect the dots here. A Cat. David in the chat says, no, I don't want Jaren Jackson or a Cat. It would have to be for like maybe a starting shooting guard, I don't know, a Devin Booker. Maybe you give, I don't know, I'm just, spitballing here. But it's interesting that this executive said that the next big move is possibly a Julius Randle trade. In this article, let me read you line from line. He says, sorry, give me a second here. He says, my initial reaction was that the Knicks overpaid because of the hypothetical value you can maybe get for quickly on paper in a separate deal. But the Knicks are in a good place to use Julius Randle and picks to make another big move. So that justifies them giving up 2 of their scoring options. And then he says Anunoby's health is also a factor. This is just from a random NBA GM. I'm just, retorting what he says. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that, this is interesting. Clovins, hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I'm bad at pronouncing names. I was pronouncing Achiwawa instead of Achua, Precious Achua. But if we are trading Randle, most likely it would be for Zion Williamson. That's interesting. Julius Randle for Zion. Would you want to take that risk into Zion? Now that his contract isn't really guaranteed, and obviously he has the health issues. But hey, it's a name to watch. It is a name to watch. I would have thought you would have liked to pair Zion with his boy and RJ, but now that I think, I don't know. It's interesting. It is interesting. Trade Randle for Lauri Markkanen. Now you're kind of I kind of like that, but it would have to be more because Randle is better than Markkanen. It would have to be Markkanen. Maybe you package Randle for a Markkanen and then you acquire Clarkson, but just spitballing here. I don't know. It's interesting that this executive brought this up. It's interesting. Big Taz says Devin Booker is the only player I would make a crazy trade for. Look, Phoenix is not really playing well. You have Kevin Durant in the media saying he's frustrated again, not saying that Kevin Durant, wants to leave Phoenix again. It seems like everywhere he goes, he's frustrated. But connect the dots with a Devin Booker. CAA was close to Leon Rose. They used to be his agent. But look, Devin Booker's name has been linked to the Knicks many years back. I'm not talking about now. I'm just saying many years back. So, yeah, if you're trading a Randle, it has to be a massive trade like that, And it's interesting. I really don't know Randle's trade value around the league. That's another thing where the New York Knicks can gauge. Like, what is Julius Randle's trade value around the league? That I'm not sure about. But He's playing out of his mind. He's playing out of his mind for sure. He's playing like an all-star. Should be an all-star. Make sure you vote for the New York Knicks. I think today it counts as triple votes. Brunson and now Anunoby and Julius Randle. And yeah. Big Task says Zion is one-dimensional and can't shoot. Look, when Zion is right, when he's healthy and right and has his mind right, I know that's not often, but he's a beast. But it's just whether or not you can get Zion to that point. You know, David, what's going on in the chat? If we would be great if we could get a superstar shooting guard, because that's our weakness position right now. Yeah, that's our weakness position. You know, which is why I brought up, is now the time where you trade everything you have, every pick you have for Donovan Mitchell. I personally don't think you have to do that, because Cleveland is going to hit a crossroads here. You're going to hit a point where Cleveland is going to be like, look, Mitchell's not going to re-sign with us. He's already telling us that he's not going to re-sign with us. We're going to have to trade him. So maybe the New York Knicks can get Donovan Mitchell for like a kind of a discount, you know, less than they were going to get him from the Utah Jazz. Not saying that will happen, but I'm just saying it's interesting. It's an interesting aspect to think about. Jordan Clarkson, we spoke about that early in the live stream, is a sneaky acquisition for the New York Knicks. Sneaky, very sneaky. You lose the scoring firepower with Emmanuel Quickley trading him to the Toronto Raptors. Now, if you're working with the Utah Jazz, obviously we all know Danny Ainge. You know, he's a hard-headed guy, and he loves his first round picks, and he just loves to bargain. I just say that. LV, what's going on? Great show, my guy. Randle and Brunson aren't going anywhere. Yeah, we're just talking about this NBA executive who thinks Randle is the next big move for the New York Knicks. But now that the New York Knicks acquired an OG Anunoby, I think, is that your trio? Anunoby, Randle, Brunson, and then insert superstar at the starting shooting guard position. And then center, if that trade doesn't include a Mitchell Robinson, obviously we have him, Hartenstein. Is that your trio? You know, Anunoby. Right now, that's your trio. Anunoby, Randle, Brunson. But next year, what would be your trio? Would it be Brunson, Mitchell, Randle, and then Anunoby? I'm telling you, that's an interesting wrinkle. 130 people in the chat. Always appreciate every single one of you. Just chopping it up here. Happy New Year to every single one of you. Please smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We're just chopping it up. New Year's Day, talking about what's next for the New York Knicks. Could it be a Mitchell? Could it be a Jordan Clarkson? Sneaky addition, in my opinion. Still in on the DeJounte Murray. Fans in the chat, some fans like a DeJounte Murray. Some fans don't want the Knicks to dabble in the DeJounte Murray. I'm not sure about I liked his fit next to Brunson, but, I took a look at his underlying defensive metrics, and this year he's actually taken a step back. But I'm not sure. That team is a mess, right? He just could be the Atlanta Hawks are an absolute mess. Maybe he's just checked out, but that's also a red flag too. So that's something. Big Task says OG Anunoby is in the building. Yes, he is in the building, man. I can't wait to watch that debut in about 30 minutes. David says, yes, I agree that Jordan Clarkson as our bench point guard, that is a sneaky move. I'm telling you guys, man. I mean, he signed a friendly. Maybe he signed the deal that the New York Knicks wanted Emmanuel Quickley to sign. As long as Quickley was going to be on this team, as long as Brunson was going to be on his team, Emmanuel Quickley wasn't going to start. Maybe the Knicks wanted to get Quickley for $50 to $80 million off the bench. And if you look at Jordan Clarkson's deal, it's team friendly. It's 50. I think he started a 3-year extension, $56 million. Averages about 17 points a game off the bench. Not sure what you're gonna have to give up for him though. Not sure. I have this graphic right here. If for those of you joining. I have Knicks acquiring Jordan Clarkson, and they give up Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, and a first-round pick. Not sure if this will get done. I was just spitballing before the live stream about what the Utah Jazz would want, and I would think they would want a lot of picks in return. So this is what I just came up with, but that, in my opinion, will be a sneak interest. Someone like that. Someone else brought up a Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon. You can go this route, Jordan Clarkson, which I would love. Like if the Knicks were to get something like this done, sign me up. Sign me up. Peter Lacey says, isn't Murray the better fit? The Rock is only enough for 2 players, Murray, Brunson, and Randall, and everyone else to play off the ball. Only way I'm moving from Randall is from marketing. A lot of marketing love in the chat. Peter, always appreciate you. But yeah, a lot of marketing love. Randall for marketing, that's interesting. You know, would you get a Clarkson in that deal? I don't know. But marketing's name has also been rumored to be on the way out. You know, Utah Jazz they just want picks at this point. And what do we have? First round picks. We didn't trade any first round pick for an OG Anunoby. So come trade deadline, if there's a guy that the New York Knicks are willing to trade 2 first round, I'm not giving 3 first round picks for a bench player. Like, I'm not doing that. Maybe like our own first round pick this year and like a heavily protected first round pick. If that's what, you know, gets the Utah Jazz to get that deal done, that's something we can do. LV says, in the summer, I would not be surprised if they trade Mitch and put him in a blockbuster deal. I wouldn't be surprised as well. Let's hold on. Let me screen share this trade that I came up with for Donovan Mitchell. Give me a second. All right. So right here, I have the New York Knicks acquiring Donovan Mitchell, and then I give them Fournier, Robinson, Grimes, and I just threw in like 3. It's probably going to cost more than that. 4 first-round picks, 5, whatever. But is this going to shake Cleveland? Is this going to get them to trade a Donovan Mitchell to us? This would have to be a 3-team deal. If the New York Knicks were to dabble in this, it would have to be a 3-team deal. They would have to ship Robinson somewhere else, and then obviously that other team would ship Cleveland what they want. It would have to be like a mega 3 or 4-team deal for this to get done, because I don't think as of this moment the New York Knicks have the assets to get a Donovan Mitchell deal done. But it's just something along this framework, and it stinks because, you know, that then if we're trading Mitchell Robinson, it would literally be within a year and a half the New York Knicks traded essentially all of their young pieces gone. Obi Toppin gone, Mitchell Robinson, Manuel Quickly, RJ Barrett. But hey, in order to win a championship, you got to do, it's business, man. It's a business. And as long as it makes the New York Knicks better, that's all I care about. David says, I like DeJounte Murray at shooting guard, but I don't think he would be enough to win to get us to the finals, so not worth it in my opinion. LV says, remember, this is CAA Mafia, so everyone pay attention to the CAA guys. They are all inside moves. OG agent is Leon's son, who is also Brunson's agent. This is all inside jobs. Yeah, I mean, we got OG Anunoby. Name has been linked to the New York Knicks for a while now. Like I said 20 minutes ago, who else's name has been linked to the New York Knicks for a while? Karl Anthony Towns. Not saying it would have happened, but it's interesting that his executive came out and said he thinks Randall is the next big move. He thinks. So I'm not saying it's not a guarantee, you know, it's not a guarantee. Peter Lacey says Murray on the Knicks is 2004 Pistons vibe. Yeah. Robert, do you view Brunson as a true point guard, or is he small, or is he a small 2? He looks beat these last few games. Yeah, Brunson looks tired. These last couple of games versus Orlando and versus the Thunder, he looks a step slow. He looks tired. Look, the New York Knicks, they got the crap end of the stick in the month of December. They had a terrible schedule. The NBA didn't do them any favors. So I'm not just like, hopefully the start of January can bring, everyone together. We're back at home. New player in OG Anunoby. Hopefully everyone can be well rested and just go from there. But yeah, Brunson does look a little bit fatigued. Clavin says, why would we trade? Hold on, David. No reason for the Jazz to move on from marketing for an older Julius. Yeah, unless they're trading a marketing. Yeah, I don't see that as well. I mean, Julius for marketing, and I don't know. I don't. Because defensively, Julius is better than a marketing. So, not better. He's just bigger. He's stronger, and he's a better player. So I don't see the Knicks making that swap. Cloven says, why would we trade Grimes plus pick for Clarkson when we did not include him in Donovan Mitchell trade earlier? That's too much. Because Clarkson's a good player, and I know there's teams that are going to be knocking at the Jazz's door. Look, if Quentin Grimes comes out and now that with his new role and he's improving, he's hitting 40% from three, he's been struggling with a shot. If he comes out and actually is playing well, then the New York Knicks don't need to acquire anyone. But I'm just saying, if he's still struggling, the New York Knicks can look at that route. But yeah, if you think that's too much, then maybe we can give them one less first round pick and then we just go from there. But I know Danny Ainge. I know Danny Ainge is gonna haggle with the Knicks. That's what I know. I know he's gonna haggle with them. Walker said, I've said many times if they were going to trade Randle, I could see the Jazz giving Laurie and Clarkson. Yeah, that name has been a lot of Laurie marketing love. I like Marketing's game. I really do. I like his game. But that would definitely be a major trade if the New York Knicks were to trade Randle to Utah for Marketing, Clarkson, and then you pair Randle with a Grimes, and then that would be a major trade. That would shock me. That would definitely shock me more than the OG Anunoby trade that we just saw. Tony says Jordan Clarkson would be a great fit, but who would we give up? That's the thing. When you're dealing with Danny Ainge, he's going to want the moon. He's going to want the moon and the stars. So, but it's Jordan Clarkson at the end of the day. He's a nice player. He's been bouncing around the league for a while. He's gonna know that the New York Knicks need extra firepower coming in, off the bench. If you acquire him, some people would say you might as well start him. But yeah, I mean, Clarkson would be a great fit, man. He fit like a glove. Fit like a glove to this team. Always appreciate every single one of you. Happy New Year's to everyone as well. Chef says we have to make up 45 points on average. Brought that up in my last podcast episode talking about OG. I think the points would be distributed fine. I mean, honestly. OG would give you maybe 20 points a night, 16 to 20 points a night, more minutes for Quentin Grimes, more minutes for, more minutes for Josh Hart, more minutes for Dante DiVincenzo. So the scoring would be distributed throughout everybody as of right now before the trading deadline. Obviously, during the trading deadline, the New York Knicks can pivot. But yeah, Adam says you'll miss Barrett and quickly scoring. Yeah, I mean, those guys play in Toronto today, so I just hope nothing but the best for them and not wishing any ill will towards them. I just hope it works out for them. But this is the start of a new era for the New York Knicks and us fans. It's the start of a new era. Walker says maybe the Bulls will give up DeRozan. That's another name I didn't bring up, but DeMar DeRozan. But me personally, I don't like the fit with a DeRozan simply because he doesn't like shooting threes, right? I mean, but at the end of the day, he is a veteran. He is a guy who's been there, done that. He would help in late game situation. He's clutch. So DeRozan's name, you can also throw in a DeRozan's name. Clarkson, Mitchell, now that we acquired an OG, I think there's another move to come. Just Knicks, what's going on? Always appreciate you in the chat. We're just chopping it up about what is next for the New York Knicks. What is coming next for them? We talked about Donovan Mitchell. We talked about Clarkson. Are we still in on DeJounte Murray? And now this executive thinks that Julius Randle is the next big move for the New York Knicks. David says the Jazz are not going to trade Marketing for Julius. Peter Lacy, Siakam and Randle, almost the same player, but Siakam will get paid $53 million per. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not dabbling. Siakam's going to get traded. Not sure where, but would Okonkwo, Sadiq Bey, and Murray make a difference? Now you're talking. Now I like that. But Okonkwo, I think I'm pronouncing it right. Okonkwo is a good player. And why would the Hawks give him up with the Sadiq Bey and a DeJounte Murray? Who would you give them for that? Then you would essentially have to give them a Randle, but I'm not doing that, That's just too much action within like 2 months, right? You trade Barrett quickly, now you're trading Randle, then you're definitely shaking it up. So I don't think that Julius Randle's trade is coming this season, maybe next season. I don't think so, but it's interesting that executives around the league are starting to think that Julius Randle is next. Terry says Miles Bridges is available and wouldn't cost a lot. Miles Bridges. You really want Bridges with that whole situation going on. And I don't know. He's a good player, but I don't think the Knicks dabble in that. Rolex says, as a Knicks fans, who are you more sad to see get traded, Quickly or Barrett? Brought this up on my last podcast, but it's Emmanuel Quickly, right? Look, RJ's time here in New York, 5 years in New York, didn't work out with him. Wish him nothing but the best in Toronto. He's had his great moments. I remember during the series versus the Cavs, I was in MSG. Fans were chanting his name. But it's Emmanuel Quickly, because I do think Emmanuel Quickly will become a great player one day. And he just didn't get his opportunity here in New York, so I just wish him nothing but the best. But I think as of this moment, I'm more sad to see Quickly go than a Barrett. But that's just me. Might they still be holding out for Donovan? Yeah, look, we brought it up. Mitchell's name, if Leon Rose and the Knicks front office were to acquire Donovan Mitchell and an OG Anunoby within 2-3 months, and that's playing chess, man. That is simply playing chess. If they were to be able to pull that off, then you would essentially have a starting lineup of Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, OG Anunoby. Now we're talking. Now we are talking in that case. Now we can get excited. But might they still be holding up for Donovan? Who knows, man? But we just have to wait and see. But yeah. Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson. Any other names you guys wanted to bring up? Any other names? We brought up Brogdon, that the New York Knicks, who is next, that the New York Knicks could acquire. But I really think that this Jordan Clarkson situation is something to watch for, because Utah wants to they want picks. They want first-round picks. But they want first-round picks. So I think Jordan Clarkson is a name to watch. Rolex says, do you think adding OG will make up for it? Make up for Quickly? Make up for the losing Quickly and RJ Barrett? I do. I like the trade. I think the Knicks needed a shake-up. They consolidated. They got an OG Anunoby, great defender, great corner three-point shooter, great long-range mid-range shooter. She shoots about 61% from mid-range, like 42% from corner three, 38% three-point shooter. Obviously, he can guard the best. He can guard a Giannis. He can guard a Jason Tatum. He can guard a Jimmy Butler. Throw him at anybody. He can guard centers. Knicks needed somebody like that, We were starting to spiral. When we got punched in the mouth by the Magic, that's when the Knicks front office were like, we need something else. We need to shake it up. And they shook it up. But now we're getting reports that could Mitchell be next? Bill Simmons on his podcast brought up a Jordan Clarkson, which I'm actually starting to love. If we were to be able to get a Jordan Clarkson in here, I'm actually starting to love that move. Still on DeJounte Murray. NBA executive thinks Julius Randle is the Knicks' next big move. So there's trades that are going to be had, and there's trades that are going to be coming soon. And the New York Knicks, they decided to shake it up, and we needed it. We definitely did need it. Big Taz says Donovan Mitchell, no. DeJounte Murray, check. Big Taz loves DeJounte Murray. Peter Lacey says executive loves Randle, but they crap on him to see his value would drop, but Rose is too smart for these executives. Yeah, like I said, I don't think the Knicks dabble in it. I don't think the Knicks trade a Julius Randle. That's just my opinion. But yeah, it was interesting to see that. Michael Drake says, first time for your show. Love this. I always appreciate the first timers here. Appreciate you, Michael. But yeah, hopefully you subbed and just chopping it up about the New York Knicks, man. I mean, we made a big trade a few days ago. We got OG Anunoby, and I'm just excited for this new journey. I'm excited for what's to come, and there's going to be more trades. And I'm excited because as long as you have your foundation set, Jalen Brunson, as long as you have your 1A, Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle's playing at an all-star level as well. As long as you have that, I think the New York Knicks are going to be good. I really do. Michael Drake says Donovan Mitchell must be the next star. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if they were to somehow pair Brunson with a Mitchell and an OG Anunoby, Leon Rose is playing chess, man. Cloven says, to be fair, RJ Barrett was playing out of position and the Knicks were unstable and coaching changes during his early years. Remember he was 19 years old when he started. Yes. I guess, yeah, he was 19, and we also had, why is his name escaping me? Scott Perry. He came out and said it would be nice if the New York Knicks were to move RJ Barrett to the starting shooting guard position. He said that last month. And then now RJ Barrett's getting his fresh start in Toronto. It's going to be interesting seeing the Toronto Raptors lineup if Manuel quickly would start. I think he's going to start, but it's going to be interesting to watch that. But yeah, hope those guys nothing but the best. And I'm excited for this new chapter. Capella, we need a big man. I thought about Clint Capella, but take a look at his contract, Terry. Take a look at Clint Capella's contract. No good. I don't like that contract. So it's an interesting name, but I don't think the Knicks would dabble in that. Now that they got Precious Achiuwa, don't sleep on Precious Achiuwa. Don't sleep on him. He's going to get minutes, and he's going to play. He's going to play a ton, and he's going to be a fan favorite, in my opinion. He's a Tom Thibodeau, he's a perfect player for Tom Thibodeau. He can defend. I've been hearing from Raptor fans, like, sometimes he's a great defender, sometimes he's a turnstile. He can grab offensive boards, so he replaces what Mitchell Robinson, not fully replaces what Mitchell Robinson brought to the table, but the Knicks desperately needed to bolster up the front court. Don't sleep on Precious Achiuwa. What do you think the OG Anunoby guy is? I think he's happy. He just had his press conference saying that he's excited to be a New York Knick, and I'm excited that he's on a team. I really do. I think Knicks fans are going to love him. Honestly, he guards 1 through 5. He can guard 1 through 5. 7'2" wingspan, OG Anunoby. 7'2" wingspan. I don't want to pay Spider $300 million next to Randall contract is going to be $200+ million, which is why we are exploring trades. Don't forget, Brunson extension is coming up. I think he's eligible next year. We got to get that done. So what is that contract going to be, right? He's already getting a bargain now, and which is why I've said the New York Knicks have to take advantage of his contract now, because if he makes All-Star team this year, if he gets to an All-NBA team this year, he's going to want a lot of money, and he deserves it, especially what he has done for us in the playoffs. What we know we can get from Brunson in the playoffs, he's going to garnish a big extension. And Randall's next contract is coming up too. And then, yeah, if you were to acquire a Donovan Mitchell, you have to think about that too. What is he going to want? But at that point, when you complete your team, when you sign everyone to these extensions, hopefully you can get them in, the luxury tax and whatnot. That's when you have a championship. That's when you've already built your championship team. Then you just start adding little pieces here and there, like a Clarkson off the bench or someone like that, So, yeah, hopefully the Knicks can figure that out, and we just get to it. Michael says, I will miss IQ and RJ, Obi, Mobb Deep. Kids are leaving us. Yeah, kids are leaving us. They've left us. IQ, RJ, Obi. Now, if you were to acquire someone else, is Mitchell Robinson the next domino to fall? Not saying that he is, but I'm just, it's just a question we got to think about. But, yeah, man, I mean, kids are leaving us, but we're getting better, I think. I think we're starting to come to the conclusion. We're starting to get to we move one step closer to the final endpoint. That's just my opinion, We had to consolidate. RJ Barrett was struggling efficiency-wise, just wasn't working out for him. And Quickly, the playing time for Quickly still baffles me to this day. One game this year, over 30 minutes a game. And watch today, he's going to play 30+ minutes for the Raptors. But hey, Knicks didn't feel comfortable paying him, and now here we are, new beginning, new team, fresh start, and it feels good heading into the new year. It feels good. Michael says almost time for the game. Can't wait to see OG Anunoby. Yes, almost time for the game. Can't wait to see it. Wow, this was an amazing live. I think this was one of my best live streams ever. So I appreciate every single one of you tuning in the chat. I really appreciate it. Much love sent your way. If you haven't done so already, sub to the channel. Been doing this content for a while, and yeah, man, I'm excited to see this new era of the New York Knicks. We spoke about a lot today. We spoke about Mitchell, Clarkson, Murray, Randall, possible Randall trades. And it's just going to be interesting watching everything, come about, in this next month, especially during the trading deadline. It's going to be very, very interesting. Yeah, Cloven says Raptors also playing today. Yes, the Raptors are playing today. I think at like 7 or 8. So it's going to be interesting watching them and the guys. We needed to get better, and Leon Rose, the Don, did some work. He shook it up. Leon Rose shook it up, right? And this is what I've been calling for. A lot of Knicks fans have been calling for. It just got too stale, got too stagnant, got too stale and got too stagnant. And they needed to do something. And boy, did they do something. OG Anunoby is wearing number 8. So Knicks fans, get your jersey orders in. I think I'm gonna order an OG jersey because I feel confident that we're gonna re-sign him at a good contract. Yeah, I mean, now that OG's here, I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited to see what's to come for this team. I'm excited to see this chemistry. I'm excited to see it. But yeah, this was an amazing show. I appreciate every single one of you that has joined in this chat. The New York Knicks will play in about 10 minutes. I will be on here sooner rather than later, posting Knicks content all year long. Appreciate every single one of you. Michael, love the show. Please subscribe. Yes, please sub to the channel. Clovin's great stuff. Just subscribe. Appreciate you guys, man. I really do. Peter says your live stream is like the Knicks lightning in a bottle. Just keep working and it pays off. Appreciate that, Peter, man. Appreciate your commentary in the chat. It really helps out. You guys, bantering back and forth with me helps out the channel as well. But yeah, we spoke about a lot. What is next for the New York Knicks? That is a question that is going to be hopefully answered by next month, this summer for sure. We acquired OG. Now something else is coming, and I feel like it's coming because I felt the OG Anunoby trade coming. I felt it coming, and it came. So something else is coming, and something else will be brewing. But I'm going to head up out of here. I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'm Anthony from Knicks Nation. Happy New Year. Let's go, Knicks. Let's get a victory. Peace.